Hey, welcome to my channel where I talk about my dolls, and that's literally it. And in this video, I'm going to be answering a question I've been asked a lot as an adult, even about myself, and that's why do I collect dolls? And while I tell these personal stories and answer that question, I will be redressing my dolls for summer. It's sort of a continuation of a video I did about a month and a half ago for Pride, and this one I'm uploading for the 5-month anniversary or 5-month anniversary of my channel. Because when every month hits, I like to do something either different or special, something to feel like it's commemorative, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm going to be getting a little bit personal here, which means the same rules will apply as the last video I did, the Pride video, where if something seems like it's going to get intense, or not even intense, uncomfortable, I'll just give a little trigger warning or just like a heads up. And because some of you may be listening and not just watching me on mute, fast forward while I redress these dolls. And if these dolls seem like a very random selection, it's only because they are. I have a whole bunch of dolls that I want to redress for the summer and it's getting late. So let me start by redressing poor Rory here, who is truly me, 74. He's been sweating all summer in this hockey uniform, sorry. So I'm going to take him from one uniform into the next, which is soccer. And as I go, I'm just going to be dropping everything into a CYO box beside me. Because I've been asked before, what do I do with all these extra clothes that I have? And I'm up to 5 CYO boxes. So that's where I keep them. But soon I'm going to run out of not just room for the boxes, but how much clothes I have. But anyway, back to the point of the story, not for me talking about where I store my doll clothes. As I mentioned, it's something wondering why I collect is something I've wondered myself, because it's like an expensive hobby that takes up a lot of time and energy. It's time and energy is well spent, but it is a lot. So you can't help but wonder, especially when people are always asking. So I don't remember when it was, but I just, like Googled the psychology behind doll collecting. And the best I could glean from everything I read was that it goes back to, if you believe in evolution, all that kind of stuff, it harkens back to caveman days where we humans, or whatever part of the evolution scale we were at, we would sort of gather things in our caves or wherever our dwellings were. And it would be a sign of, I guess, our version of prosperity at the time. So collecting seems like it's always been a human trait. And I'm not a psychologist, so I'm only repeating what I read myself when I was being asked a lot and wondering myself too, what is the point of collecting? Why do people do it? And I think along with the whole, gathering and nesting, I feel like it also adds to my domestic side, because even though I'm a very outgoing social person, I also do love being home, surrounded by things that I love, which is a very typical tourist trait, apparently. Again, if you believe in that stuff. And I think it's always fun to believe in things that pertain to you, that seem like they're true. So yeah, it sounds like it's something we do as humans, as to show that we've had some kind of success. And you know what, actually a story I'll tell later will harken back to this whole gathering and how it's like a sign of some kind of prosperity. But also for me, I relate to it personally with the horoscope side. And I think that's all I'm going to say about the psychology, because again, I'm not a psychologist. What am I even trying to repeat all this for? And get into stories about my personal collecting that I can answer questions that I've been asked. Because I mentioned this before, that I have an Instagram. I've had an Instagram since about 2017. So what's that, 7 years? And on that page, on my Instagram account, it's mostly for my Disney collection, and then that became exclusively Tiana. And on there, I would be often asked, like, oh, why do I love Tiana so much? Why is she my favorite princess? And which is a pretty normal question to ask. Like, people always want to know what your favorite princess is. And so the first layer of this question, or first layer to answer that question, is when I didn't see the movie in theaters because this is another stupid story. I live in Toronto, and when that movie was in theaters, there was a, what do you call it? A bed bug epidemic. So people weren't really going to theaters because that's where you got them really badly. I guess I had to throw that in there to explain why I never saw it in theaters. So I only saw the movie when it came out on Blu-ray, and immediately I was drawn to the character for a couple of reasons. Like the character herself, I liked that she had an ambition, and at that time in my life, I was trying to pursue my own like personal, I guess professional career, but my career in my personal life. Do socks go over shin guards? These look funny. I'm trying to dress him up as an athlete, and I don't know athleticism. I don't know sports. So because of, not just because she had this ambition in her story that reflected what I was going through, because she was trying to, she was chasing her dream. She got so close, and then her song was like singing about almost there. And I don't know if that looks right. I'm keeping it for the video. I'll Google it after how shin guards are supposed to go. So I really related to her song, and especially the reprise when she discovered her dreams weren't going to come true as she thought they were, because that's what I was going through at that time, which was like early 2010. Sorry, sometimes I put double-sided tape, so I'm just going to show you that this is what I put on when I'm trying to like make things stick. It's just, I want him to hold on to the soccer ball with his shoe. And because I think that's what soccer players do, right? Or football players if you're not in North America. Okay, it's not working as well as I thought. So because I related to her story, I already really liked her. And then I found out, as I got more and more in love with the character, that Tiana, okay, that ball's not going to stay. See ya. I found out that Anika Noni Rose, the voice actor of Tiana, is left-handed, and I'm left-handed, and she therefore asked the animators to make Tiana left-handed. So I thought, wow, that's so cool. We have being left-handed in common, which at the time was enough to make me feel like I loved her and I had this connection with her. And so I realized the love just grew and grew and grew over the years. And as my Instagram account grew with my love of Tiana, this is Truly Me 4. And I'm just going to put her in, this is a handmade outfit somebody on Facebook, a Canadian Facebook group made. And she makes a lot of these Oshkosh and Tom's outfits. So if it's familiar, she even posts them in the American Girl doll Facebook groups, you may have seen it. And I'm going to be trying to talk a little bit more about the dolls. So my stories are going to bounce back and forth. I'm really sorry. Last time people had questions when I did this and I just changed them. I didn't talk. So I'm going to try to do both. And I'm not good at multitasking. So as my followers grew on Instagram because of my Tiana collection, I have like I guess you might have seen it by now. I have a video of my Tiana room. I realized, I did already know how important she was, Tiana, to the Black community, and especially the Black Disney fan community. So those were a lot of people I was connecting with on Instagram through sharing our love of Tiana. And so it was one of those things where I had this like duh moment where I was like, she means so much to me as a left-handed character. Imagine how she feels to, Black little boys and little girls out there, or even adults who never thought they would ever see a princess like Tiana. So it made her very, very special in even that way. And I started to realize, oh, she's not just a Black character or a minority character. She's the only character, when I say minority, I mean like not white, whatever character, right? So I was like, she's not just she's not just a minority character. She's also the only Disney character who's a minority in her own story, meaning like, Mulan is not a minority in China, like in where the story takes place. So any character who's from a, non-Western society is only a minority to us. So that's what kind of made her really special and keep growing, because the love growing for me. Is because she had all these really special things about her that made her very unique. And she's also very beautiful, I gotta be honest. We all kind of fall in love with the princess at first, on a superficial level. And so as my followers grew on Instagram, so did people wondering why I loved her so much. And at first, like I said, it was the normal, casual, why is she your favorite princess? I wanna know more about your connection. But then when I would do Q&As on my page, it would be a little bit more anonymous. Like people could send in a question anonymously, and they started becoming a little bit more specific. with their questions as to why would I love Tiana so much, because obviously I'm white and she's a black character. This is where the story might get a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not a provocative, in your face kind of person, so I'll use nuanced language, of course, but I'm just saying, like, the content may be a little bit uncomfortable. So I would usually vet the questions. Let's say, like, if somebody was asking in a very, let's say, not nice, or in a way that I wouldn't feel comfortable putting on my page, I just wouldn't answer it. But if they would ask in like a beating around the bush kind of way, I would just answer in kind. You know what I mean? Just tell why I love Tiana so much. And Tiana has led, my love for Tiana has led me to so many different collections, things that, like, it's like I'm always trying to expand my Tiana universe. And at one, like, so that's kind of how I got into American Girl, long way around. But way before American Girl, Tiana got me into Integrity Toys. And there's one doll in particular, let me show you, I brought her out. This doll, this Integrity Toys character, is named Mell. And as you can see by her outfit, I don't know if you'll recognize the inspiration behind it, because Integrity Toys would take like real runway fashion. So I don't know if you got to see how pretty she is. So this is one of my favorite Integrity Toys dolls. And I just don't know if I'm showing her well enough. So they would take inspiration from real runways. And this one was very obviously inspired by Lupita Nyong'o's 2014 Oscars red carpet look, which when it came out, when she appeared in it, Tiana fans were all kind of alike. We're like, oh, she's clearly inspired by Tiana's blue dress, like the one that Charlotte gives her in the masquerade scene. So when I saw that, the doll I just showed you, it made me just fall in love with the character of Adele. And so I ended up having a lot of Adele dolls in my collection. And I did a Q&A not long after I started sharing my Integrity Toys dolls. And I actually, one of the questions that I decided to answer was, this is just to show you what kind of questions I would get asked as somebody who collected Tiana and diverse dolls, let's say, because my Integrity Toys were not all Adele. They were characters of characters of many different colors and backgrounds, etc. And one of the questions one time was, do you have a thing for Black females? I noticed a lot of your IT dolls, Integrity Toys dolls, are Black females. Like, these are the kind of questions that I would avoid, but this time I was like not having it. So I did respond. I guess I should have read that first too. I said, I have a thing for beauty. I guess Black females are beautiful. Like, I think I was just annoyed at that point, because I was like, and I showed a picture of my Integrity Toys collection, which was like in the story for the answer to that question, because my dolls weren't all Black. But it's just like, it's just one of those things that I was constantly dealing with at the time, because it wasn't just like when I would do Q&A. It would be sometimes people would just like reach out to me in DMs, and we'd be having normal conversations talking about whether it was Disney or Integrity Toys. And then all of a sudden it would start turning into, oh, so what is it about, the Black princess you love? And I was just like, it was just so weird to me. And this is where I'm going to go a little bit back in time to explain why it's so weird that, I hope it's weird to everyone that people would wonder why, I don't feel like people would question if somebody's a person of color, if their favorite princess was Belle or Ariel, for example. But I would kind of be questioned about this a lot. And then, this is where I have to go back into my childhood a little bit, because in order to understand who I am as a collector, not just because I collect Tiana or because I want to have a diverse doll world, period. I grew up in a neighborhood in Toronto. Sorry, I've never seen anybody in this outfit before. I'm just putting it on, and I chose the right girl to wear it. What was I saying? I might do that a lot because anyway. So I grew up in a neighborhood. The reason I always want a diverse doll world is because it's a reflection of how I grew up. I lived in an area of Toronto, grew up in the 80s. It's the East End of Toronto, and at the time that it was developed, it was called, and I don't think it'll sound good by today's, by today's social standards, but at the time it was developed, it was called an immigrant neighborhood, which meant we had people moving into the neighborhood, into the part of the city from not just all over the world, but like even my family moved there from, my parents are from Newfoundland, which is the east coast of Canada. And so, at the time, because I was young and I didn't really know any better, I thought it was the same thing, not immigrating because we're from Canada, but I thought that everybody I went to school with was the same, as in like we all came from somewhere else and we all live there now, and we were all, sorry, let me show her to you because she looks so cute. We were all the same, like we were all equals. I never thought anything of it. So, that was kind of like my childhood and growing up experience, was just that we all looked different in the sense that, we could have had different hair colors, different eye colors, different skin colors. And I, because I was young and innocent, let's say, I didn't really think much beyond the physical differences. And so this is where I'm going to start talking a little bit more about my childhood toys. When I was about 6 or 7, Cabbage Patch Kids were the rage. And to anyone who doesn't know what they are, I do have a little one because someone gave her to me to put in Courtney's collection, because Courtney would have probably had a Cabbage Patch Kid, and I love it. I'm so happy I have it. When the Cabbage Patch Kids were all the rage, I asked my mom to get me one, and we went to the store, and I picked out a black Cabbage Patch Kid because of the kids in my neighborhood, the kids in my class. They all had black dolls. We were all friends. And I don't know if exposed is the right word, but I just seen them, and they were, it was a normal thing to see and want to have a black doll. And my mom's reaction was, oh, no, you can't have that doll. These dolls, the point of these dolls is that you're adopting them. They're supposed to look like you. And I didn't think anything of it at the time, except when she finally got me a Cabbage Patch Kid. He didn't look like me. He was a white doll, sure, but I didn't understand that that's what look like you means at the time. So I think her compromise was to get a white doll with the dark brown hair and the brown eyes, like a black Cabbage Patch Kid. And I just remember being so confused, like, he doesn't look like me, though. Why couldn't I get the other one that I asked for? And that wasn't, I'll explain later what my mom's thinking was behind it, and I promise it was innocent and well-intentioned, I think. Oh, and I'm going to put Felicity into Elizabeth's summer gown, because I don't have Felicity's summer gown, and I don't plan to collect Elizabeth at this point in my life. Who knows? Anything could change. But right now, I like hers, and it suits her, the green eyes, whatever. So what was I saying? I think just talk about how my mom, because we lived in a very diverse neighborhood with different types of kids, she didn't want me and my sister to see anybody from outside, people who'd moved to Canada from a different country, seeing them as being different. So she would kind of hide the fact, and I'll explain that better later. But for now, I'll just say that anytime I asked for a doll who was a black character, my mom or my parents, they would sort of substitute it. So for example, I also became obsessed with Jem and the holograms. I was Team Jem, not Team Barbie. Don't kill me. And when Jem was out, my favorite character was Shayna. And I'll show her to you. So this is the Integrity Toys Shayna. And I hope I can get a good view because she's so beautiful. And this is the doll I asked for Christmas, that Jem and the holograms was up and kicking. And so other friends of mine had Shayna because, like I said, I lived in a neighborhood where kids having black dolls just meant they had dolls that looked like them. And then that Christmas, the Jem doll I opened up was Rio. And my thinking when I opened him, I was like, oh, my mom got confused. She got me the wrong purple-haired doll. So that's what I thought, that she just was looking at the hair color and not thinking about anything else. Because, to me as a kid, the purple hair was what was really wild about the Jem characters. And so those weren't the only experiences I had with asking for a doll who happened to be black, and I being, from a neighborhood where I didn't think anything of it, and my mom would substitute it. And so when I got older, I asked her, once I was old enough to understand, because I think I was about the 6th grade when I started really understanding the significant difference between different, let's say, skin colors and cultural backgrounds. Up until that point, I just thought everyone was different. Everyone came from somewhere else. And yeah, I had cousins who had different hair color. Anyway, I'm veering off topic as usual. And so when I was older, I asked my mom, why were you so against me having black dolls as a kid? And she said that she was worried because I was already getting picked on um, for playing with dolls as a boy. And she was worried that that black kids might be upset that I was playing with dolls that looked like them. And then it would make me question, well, the difference. And she didn't want me to grow up the way she did, if that makes any sense. So I think that's where her, ooh, this is some sticky Velcro. That's where like, whether she did the right thing or not, she was doing it from a right place. And I think because of her doing it from that place, my sister and I both grew up very open to everyone, and not having ignorance as we might have had if we weren't, like, if my mom didn't raise us the way she did, to see people as the same and never kind of question it. And I mean, I could go on. There are so many stories about that, but I'm trying to keep it about dolls. So I think there was just always this normalization for me where I grew up of having or wanting or playing with, collecting whatever black dolls. And I haven't really experienced that kind of, I don't know if ignorance is the right word. That kind of curiosity. I haven't really experienced that kind of curiosity from American Girl collectors about me having diverse dolls. So this kind of seems a little out of left field, talking about it on an American Girl's channel. But just in case anyone's curious and, you know, waiting to ask, or if anybody sees these videos from my Instagram channel, and they've always, like, for some reason, people have always, not everyone, of course, generally people who look like me are always curious about why I would collect Tiana, and why do I have a thing for, anyway. No, I don't have a thing for black females because I'm gay. Well, I guess that means I would, but not the way that they meant. But anyway, it's just, you know, where I grew up, and I didn't know any better. And so I think that covers that part of the conversation. I don't know if this is going to go on nicely. How do people do this? So the next topic I'll go off into is when I got a little bit older, a teenager. And this will definitely have some uncomfortable moments, like more intense than the weirdness I was just talking about there. So even in my teen years, oh, I don't think I did that right. I'll fix that later. Even in my teen years, I liked toys. Toys kind of brought me like a sense of innocence, you know, bring back to a simpler time. And one thing I should say about something personal about me is, you know, as someone who grew up different, you know, a boy playing with dolls, when I reached my teenage years, home wasn't always safe for me. You know, I was moving around a lot. There was just a lot going on in my family, and my being different, gay, it really affected how I was treated at home. So that's to say that when I was 16, I ended up leaving home because it was, in my mind, it was safer than where I was, if you know what I'm saying. So just trying to use nuanced language here. And the doll that I'm about to change, her name is Marguerite. She is a customized Truly Me 91, if anybody's curious. She's got 106's wig, and I just gave her dark brown eyes. So when I left home at 16, it's not like I had anywhere to go. So I'm just trying to, you know, ease you into the fact that I didn't always have the creature comforts that I have now, because the creature comforts I have now involve me having a roof over my head. So even when I was, like I said, on my own, I still loved toys, and they just brought me this sense of comfort. So I don't know if I can really say this with too much more nuanced language. Oh, and I'm putting her in like an outfit of random pieces that I don't totally know what they are, because they're from a clothing lot, and maybe you'll know the pieces and you can tell me. So anyway, I was living in a school park for a while when I was 16, and just jump right into it. And one of the things that really brought me comfort, because honestly, I was living by myself, but outside, was childhood toys that I would find at a Canadian thrift shop called Value Village. And I used to so I would take them, like I wouldn't buy them, if you know what I'm saying, because I was 16 and didn't have any money. So one of the things that I remember really loving at that time were Care Bears. So I'll show you the one. So this is just a little mini version that I put with my Courtney collection. He's a Braveheart Lion. So he was like my pillow inside a backpack. And that's why I have him displayed too. It's like a little, little memory. As miserable as it sounds, it wasn't. Like, I'm fine. Everything was fine. It's just part of my history, right? So don't even worry about it. But that's like one of those things that, even though my life from the outside, or even talking about it, was very like bad, I still had these toys to make me feel comfortable. Like, I didn't feel alone, as like wild as that sounds. I just felt like, these toys has always been like a piece of me, a piece of who I am. And it's always brought me joy, even at like the worst of times. So, as I've said a few times on my channel and other videos, I always like to have little nods to memories, even though they may not sound good on the outside. They are. Like, it was almost like an empowering time in my life. I was like, I'm leaving by choice. I'm not going to put up with stuff that I shouldn't have to put up with. These are a little baggy on her. I might have to pin them up later. So if they fall down during the rest of the video, sorry. So what was I saying? So yeah, they've always brought me some kind of comfort. And as an adult, I don't think it really brings me comfort as an adult. I think I'm already comfortable. And this is where I'm saying, like, when I was mentioning before about how, back in the caveman days, we would show our prosperity by collecting things. And, for me, it's like, probably because of what I went through in my teens, trying to get myself established, get my life figured out, I, at this point, feel like all these material possessions really bring me that kind of comfort. Like, oh, I did it. I'm here. I have my own space. I don't need to walk into a Value Village and walk out with a Care Bear. I can just use my own grown-up money to buy whatever dolls I want. Her wig's coming off. Sorry, because she's a custom. So that's, I think, a big factor of why I collect, even as an adult. Maybe I shouldn't redo her hair right now. Nope, we're doing it. And another thing, this is like veering off topic. Let me make sure I didn't. So, as I've already alluded to, by saying how I left home at a very young age, I think as an adult, somebody who can take care of myself and protect myself, I couldn't always do that as a child, right? Except by leaving home as soon as it was legally allowed. Because in I don't know about the rest of Canada, but where I live, you legally couldn't leave home until 16. And as soon as I was, so that's just to say that I wasn't always protected as a child, even as like a teen. And things happen. I'm not holding anybody. I'm not upset or blaming anyone or anything. I'm just explaining why, as an adult, I'm extremely protective and nurturing as a child, or toward children, sorry. Like, any family members, whether they're, my nieces or nephews, or my ex now, but when, we were together for a long time, like over 10 years, I watched like little cousins and little nieces and nephews grow up. And I was always very, even though I don't want kids, I remember what it was like to be sort of not feel safe as a child, because for me, I'm just ripping these out, these elastics. For me, there were often times, because I was different, right? It's probably pretty obvious even if I didn't explain that. And so when adults would try to, or older people, they wouldn't have to be even necessarily adults, they could have been teenagers, when people would try to, bully me or endanger me because I was different, when I would report it, they would have the easy, oh, he's such a weirdo, he's lying, like, because I'd already been to child psychologists and stuff because of being different. So that made me kind of vulnerable as a child, even though I did stand up for myself. And I was very lucky that even as a young kid, I always understood that I liked the way happiness felt, and if I didn't like something, I didn't want to do it. Oh, sorry, it's her hair that I'm groaning about. All this stuff's ancient history, so I'm not upset about talking about it at all. So as an adult, when I am around kids, I'm very empathetic as a person, so I can always empathize and, I always want kids to feel very, like, safe. And I remember a very specific example was the ex I mentioned. One of his little cousins, he was very young when I met him, but, we were together for about 15 years in total. And I remember when he got older, he said this little cousin said that when he was little, the reason he liked me so much was because he could tell that he was safe with me. Like I would make sure he was, protected. And like, for an example, like if kids wanted to go swimming, they wanted to go swimming with me. I don't know why I'm telling all these stories, but it's just to let you know that like kids would always gravitate toward me, even though I don't want kids. But I do want dolls. So I think that nurturing side kind of comes out with my dolls. And so even though I don't feel like I need to protect, well, I kind of have to protect them from me because they're always falling over in these videos. But that's kind of where I think the love of dolls stays as an adult. It's kind of how I express my, not parental, because I don't think I want to be a parent. I think I have a lot of fun being an uncle. And I don't know if I would ever want to have a kid full time to like cramp my style or, ruin my dolls. But yeah, so I think that's where a lot of my, as an adult, where a lot of comfort comes with these dolls. So it's like sometimes people say I'm always, the way I handle my dolls is so like gentle and like parental. That's why. I think it's just like satisfying this nurturing side of me. I'm not really feeling this outfit on her, but you know what? I'll give it to her. I'll let her have it for a while. I think I missed the hairstyle. All right. So I'm trying to think if I have anything else to cover. Because you know what? I brought extra dolls down here. And I think for once in my life, like extra in case I ran out of time because of how much I talk. But I think for once, I went shorter than expected. And so I took notes. So I'm just making sure. Yeah. I think that's everything I need to say. So as I was mentioning in the beginning of the video, I wanted to upload this because it's the 5-month anniversary of my channel. And I'm getting really close to 1,000 subscribers. So this is like, feels kind of like, like a, I don't know if monumental is the right word, but a time to commemorate. And I can thank everyone again because I'm a cornball, which is fine. And I will have plenty more videos. Sorry, now I wish I had more stories because I want to, I'll finish these later. But for now, I'll just like finish it here and thank everyone as I've been doing. And I will see you soon. What a weird ending, but I'll see you soon in the next one.